But all the people in this area, they all feel like I do. They want to be home. They don't want to be anywhere else. If they relocate and go somewhere else, they're not truly happy, you know.
In these bayous since Hurricane Andrew, and watching families go through storm after storm, how painful it was, how they're dedicated to living along these bayous. Many work along these bayous, they make their living along these bayous, and it is their culture. Part of the reason why they are vulnerable at this point is it's a man-made disaster. I mean, the exploration of oil, the drilling of shortcuts to the Gulf of Mexico, letting more and more salt water come into freshwater territory, ruining vegetation, ruining the whole ecosystem in the barrier islands. I mean, part of the reason why they are so vulnerable is because of man. So I can't fix the levees tomorrow. I can't restore the wetlands tomorrow. But what I can do is, and what I thought I could do, was come up with this plan to at least support the idea of a culture wanting to stay on lands that are so fragile until the lands are shored up. And that is to build a house that can sustain a Cat 5 hurricane and sustain a storm surge.
The pilings are really quite stout, and one of the things that I think is kind of cool about the way we did it is we ran the pilings all the way up to the roof framing. So the roof framing ties right into the vertical columns that go down into the foundation. So it really ties the whole house together. So you're much less likely to have a roof lift off a house.
We took some old designs. We worked hard at designing a house that looked like it belonged in the bayous. We used the old French colonial roof line. So this makes one completely solid structure. It has no way to give. To see the minimum damage they went through, especially Miss Betty's house that was very near the eye, or had the eye go through it for Gustav, and then had standing water from Ike for at least, what, 8-9 days. I mean, to see that it was essentially nothing happened to that house. The damage, the little bit of roof shingles coming off the house is probably maybe 200 square of roof tile. That's nothing. And to go down that same street and at the front of the street, to see those families in such despair, and to see Betty at the end of that street, the closest to the levee, in her home, her life essentially uninterrupted. That's a good feeling. And when we look at that alone, and the time and the repetitive destruction that we've seen down here, and the repetitive investment of donated dollars, to invest a little bit more now and not have to reinvest really in the future is really the wisest choice.
I think that it's really critical to think of the cost of the house as not just what it costs to build it, but what it costs to live in it as well. And that's a lot of the energy that we put into the house in terms of designing for energy efficiency is meant to make sure that it's affordable for the life of the people who are living in the house.
The materials that we used, the cement siding that we used, plank siding, isn't going anywhere. It's not going to blow off, it's not going to bend, it's not going to be eaten by termites. So the materials we chose to use too are sustainable.
Because, like my friend, she's down. She can't afford to go up. And, I mean, she's a little bitty house, she's in. She can't afford it. So she's got to stay where she's at. So
people are stuck here.
People are stuck. Yeah, some of them are stuck.
The further we go along in time, and the coast will continue to erode. If we don't have homes like this erected, there will be less and less of an argument for preserving this culture, because the damage will be worse. You know, it will keep getting worse, and the investment of donated dollars will not make sense, or insurance dollars, you know, will get too costly. And I think there will be a louder will to stop that. This is a housing solution for this area. It absolutely is a solution.
It means a lot to me. It means, you know, I don't have to worry about running. Every time they have a storm, the only danger I have, like I say, is the flood. And I'm not scared of bad weather. In that house, I'm not scared.